Welcome to another installment of our Cult Classics series. This is something I really enjoy doing with myself, Paul Jr., Pastor Paul Begley, and as always on the series, BC Begley. Today we're looking into one of the most bizarre, controversial, and honestly unbelievable chapters in American religious history, the rise and fall of Rajneeshpuram, led by the mystic guru Bhagwan Shri Rajneesh, later known as just Osho.
And this wasn't just a commune out in the Oregon desert either. This was a full-blown attempt to build a utopian city with political takeovers, mass poisoning, immigration fraud, espionage, millions of dollars, and a spiritual movement that spun completely out of control. Sounded a lot like Democrat Party. But anyway, that's what was going on.
Yeah. And what makes it so wild is that it actually happened right here in the United States in the 1980s. Thousands of followers, Rolls Royces, armed guards, and a leadership team willing to do whatever it took to hold on to power. So today we're breaking it all down, the origins of Rajneesh, how this community grew so fast, what really went on behind the scenes, and how the entire movement collapsed under the weight of its own corruption.
And as always, guys, we'll take a look at this through a biblical lens, what scripture teaches us about deception, charismatic leaders, spiritual hunger, and how to stay grounded in truth.
This is a wild story, and it still echoes today. Just like we have with all of our Cult Classic series, is we're going to start it off. For a lot of you, probably haven't even heard of this before. So BC has created another awesome documentary for us. So we're gonna start out with that, if I can. Let's see. I gotta share it. Here we go.
Paul Begley Technology.
PBT.
PBT. Hats coming soon. PBT.
The early 1980s, an unexpected and a dramatic story unfolded in the high desert of Central Oregon. It began with a spiritual teacher from India, millions of dollars in international donations, and a dream of building a utopian community. It ended with attempted murder, poisoning, a political showdown, and the largest act of bioterrorism ever committed on American soil. This is the story of Osho, Rajneeshpuram, and the controversial experiment that briefly transformed a quiet corner of rural Oregon into the center of a global scandal. The man at the center of it all was Bhagwan Shri Rajneesh, later known simply as Osho. Born in 1931 in India, he built a reputation as a charismatic and provocative spiritual leader. His teachings blended meditation, personal liberation, Eastern mysticism, psychology, and open attitudes toward sexuality. For many, he offered a path that felt free of dogma and tradition. His followers, called sannyasins, were often young, educated, and searching for alternatives to conventional religion. They wore shades of red and orange, adopted new spiritual names, and embraced meditation practices designed to break down emotional barriers. By the late 1970s, Osho had attracted tens of thousands of followers from around the world. His ashram in Pune, India, had become a bustling spiritual resort. But Osho's success also attracted the attention of the Indian authorities. Conflicts over taxes, zoning, and the sheer scale of his movement made life increasingly difficult. So in 1981, facing legal and political pressure, Osho left India for the United States.
Let's stop it because I wanted to show some footage actually of I guess we call it a cult. Really, it's kind of hard to categorize that all the way. Although everything that you just showed us so far, BC, looks very culty to me.
I just love his beard. What an amazing! Show that picture again. What an amazing beard. I tried to grow mine. That's amazing. I tried to grow mine out like that for the show, but I mean, geez, look at that.
I mean, that's even better than Israel Hall's.
That is an amazing beard. My first perception of Bhagwan was like his beard was incredible, and like his clothes were really nice, and he drove around. He was drove around in a Rolls Royce, and everybody else walked. So, you're walking behind your guru in a Rolls
Yeah.
Royce. You know what I mean?
What's wrong with this picture? They're all wearing, orange jumpsuits like prisoners. And this guy's wearing, cashmere robes and and Rolls Royces. I mean, what's
But
wrong with the picture?
with a beard like that, he deserved it. I mean, I can't.
It's almost like Moses. I mean, he's like a guru, like a Moses guru,
It was an amazing beard. That's just my yeah. It did look very cultic.
Yeah.
Indian gurus. It's hard to classify as a cult, I guess you would say, but it kind of is. I mean, they formulate their own religion. They got followers. He's got them dressed in pink, red, and orange.
Yeah.
They're in India. They've given up a lot of them. Later on in the documentary, you'll hear a lot of them even donated or gave their entire life savings to this commune, to this religion.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of is a cult. I mean, what's the difference between that and David Koresh and Waco that we covered on another episode? It's pretty similar.
Right.
So yeah, I guess it would be classified as a cult, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it just doesn't get as much attention as like what we've covered before with Heaven's Gate, Jonestown, Manson, and Koresh, because it didn't end in, mass murder, suicide, and all of the dramatic things that you would associate to when you label something a cult, which is also part of the reason why we're doing this anyway, just so you can kind of recognize the patterns, right, of a leader taking over. This has like a lot of the patterns that we've seen in all of those already.
I mean, it's almost all of them. I mean, they're trying to build a utopian society. They're cashing in all their money into the kitty.
Right.
There's no sexual boundaries, all of them off the charts. Okay. There is, you're right, there was no mass suicide kind of thing, but there is murder and there is mass poisoning. And you'll see that later in his documentary, I'm sure. So it's pretty well got all of the same characteristics of the other guys. Just didn't end in a full blaze of glory. That's
right.
all.
Right. It's a rural area. I always seem to pick a nice rural area to build this brand new, fresh utopia on fresh ground.
Yep. Out in Oregon.
Yeah, in the middle of Oregon.
Well, sorry, my computer's lagging a little bit. I wanted to pop this up for you. I was going to show you some of the teachings of Osho. I was just going to refer to him as that. But this is actually from the 1970s. This is some of the followers. I guess they're referred to as Rajneeshees. So this was in the 70s before actually they came to Oregon and started their commune. So I mean, it even turned into a city at some point.
I mean, it's a city. One thing about him, I'll say this: he has a way larger following than Jim Jones, David Koresh, and Applegate or Applewhite. Okay,
Yeah.
this guy pulls off tens of thousands. So this is a lot larger deal.
International too.
Yeah, international, the whole 9 yards. This is one of the largest cult leaders in the history of the world, really.
So I'm gonna let me just play this, but let me turn the volume down a little bit. But as you can see here, so all these people are traveling to India. This is before they came to Oregon. It looks pretty happy, honestly. That's why I have a hard time with like the demonizing as hard as we have the other cults, because it kind of looks like these people are at free will here.
Well, one of the things is that this religion is still going. Osho died in 1990, but he still has thousands of followers. The headquarters is back in India, and it is a happy cult. It's not a death cult. It's not a Waco, the world is about to end cult. It's not Charles Manson, we need to start a race war cult. It's not Applegate's, a spaceship is coming to pick us up cult. those are doom and gloom cults. But
Right, right.
Right.
a cult can also be happy, right? A
Yep.
cult can also be like obsessed with an act like mountain climbing or exercise or something. Like
Yeah.
a cult can be a number of things. It doesn't have to actually be like quote unquote evil, right?
CrossFit. Right.
And it says a lot of the when you watch it here, the singing, the dancing, the happiness. There's a lot of the feel of the 1960s and 70s in this. Okay,
Oh, for sure.
the hair. Everybody's liberated, is what I'm trying to say. They feel very liberated and free. They don't want to be a part of society's norms and the hustle and the bustle and the stress. And they're living and thinking, at least, that they're going to be a part of a utopian world. And
Right.
you're right. Art's right. It's not a death cult. It's not a end of the world apocalyptic cult. Like David Koresh was preaching or Jim Jones was preaching. They're not going to catch a ride on the alien spacecraft with the Hale-Bopp comet or now Atlas Interstellar. I mean, I'm shocked that we don't have a cult out there right now to catch that 3-eye Atlas thing. But yeah, you're right. Bart's right. It isn't that. It's more about.
Oh, yeah. There probably is.
But we don't know the end result of when the people throw in all of their life savings and everything and inheritances. What's the end result 10 years later? Are they left broke, busted, and disgusted? I mean, I would like to know what happened to the original members that got involved and where are they today? But as far as what you see and what they experience, the ashram kind of meditating guru kind of thing, that's part of Hinduism, and that's really part of that Indian culture that of certain groups. I mean, look, Indian culture has a ton of different things, but
Right.
this mentality of meditation and freedom and
Living on a commune.
yeah, it's a happy cult. I mean, that's a good way to
Yeah.
a happy cult.
They drink
It
their
is-
Ovaltine.
Yeah.
It is a happy cult, and it's interesting because I don't know, the Netflix documentary Wild Wild Country, if you guys are interested in watching it. Obviously the documentary maker has a big blueprint on how you feel about something after you watch it. But I kind of got the sense after watching it of, well, you kind of see their side of it because there was a lot of political involvement on both sides. They came into Antelope, Oregon, right? And they pretty much bought, 64,000 acres of the Big Muddy Ranch, and tried to develop their own little commune, which is very similar to what we covered with Jonestown.
Yeah.
And this happened after Jonestown. So I think the people of tiny Antelope, Oregon were, weary that maybe this could turn into a Jonestown right in their own town.
Right. And they overtook. I mean, they had the numbers. They were in getting in position to take the congressional seat.
Yeah.
They were politically moving things forward. I mean, to be honest with you, this might have been bigger than Dearborn, Michigan is right now, as far as the population of a group of people. I'm not sure if Dearborn, Michigan has tens of thousands. I'm not sure what the total number is there in that city, which is basically Arabs and Islamic culture. But I think it was even bigger than that. So this was huge politically, as well as socially, if you will.
I'm going to show some of Osho's teaching just so you can kind of get a feel for, what his charisma. But before I do that, I wanted to read Rajneesh's 10 Commandments. Okay, so it's
okay. I'm interested in this, the 10 Commandments.
So let's see. Rajneesh said that it was a difficult matter because he was against any kind of commandment, but just for fun, setting out the following, he had these. Number 1, never obey anyone's command unless it is coming from within you also. Okay. All right. Number 2, there is no God other than life itself. You still see this kind of thinking in big movements with New Age culture and thinking now. Number 3, truth is within you. Do not search for it elsewhere. Again, rely on yourself.
Yeah.
4, love is prayer. 5, to become a nothingness is the door to truth. Nothingness itself is the means, the goal, and attainment.
Nothingness.
Nothingness. All right.
So nothing. Nothingness.
Just nothing. I mean, it sounds like you're trying to reach nirvana. That's
Yeah,
how I
I
think.
hear what they're saying. Yeah.
Number 6, life is now and here, so live it fully. Okay. Number 7, live wakefully. Again, live fully. Number 8, do not swim, float. Number 9,
Don't swim. Don't go upstream. Just coast, man. Just float along.
Just
Gotcha.
Number 9, die each moment so that you can be new each moment.
Oh, that's some serious.
That's heavy.
That's heavy. And
Yeah.
number 10, do not search. That which is. Stop and see.
Okay, I see some warning signs here.
Well, you want to let's hear him a little bit.
Okay, well, just a quick observation is
Yeah.
there's no God, he says.
Right.
Don't obey any commandments. Life is now. There is no life after, in other words. Fully live it to the best. Just float along. Die each moment to live, and don't search. He keeps telling you, don't search. There is no God. Don't obey
Right.
commandments. Don't look out there for anything else. So his overall theme here is don't be searching for truth. You are truth. Don't be looking for God. There is none. Live the moment, live the free, just live in the moment, float along. Right. Don't try to find truth somewhere, So that's an overall.
So do what thou wilt.
Yeah, that's a controlling mechanism, really.
So do what thou wilt, right?
Right.
Free will, right?
No matter.
So the exact same as Aleister Crowley.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hedonism. If it feels good, go with it.
Yeah. Which is crazy because feeling good could be murdering 7 people tomorrow.
That's true.
Don't worry about it. There's no commandments. There's no rules. Life is death. Death is, no, there is rules. You can't, you can't impede upon other people. You can't take other people out. So, no. So, yeah, again, Bart, I think you nailed it. It's the same thing as Aleister Crowley would say. Live in the moment.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Do what you want. Yeah.
You can't do that.
Let's
Just can't.
Let's hear the guru a little bit here.
All
There
right.
are only 2 types of people in the world. Those who understand that every moment life is at risk, hence do something. And those who are absolutely unaware that death can strike any moment and take away all their future, all their dreams, all their imaginations, all that they were thinking they are going to do tomorrow.
Honestly, it's too slow for me. I would not be able to follow this guy.
Osho talks. I love it. His beard is incredible.
You should care only about one
I
thing,
hate to
that
kind of
you
ponderosa,
are happy.
but his beard is amazing, guys.
that you are blissful, that you are silent, that you are at ease with existence. Don't bother about anybody, any religion, any society,
Yeah, don't
any
look.
culture,
Don't look.
any education. They are all strategies to create personalities out of individuals. My work is to undo their work and bring out the individual in its pure beauty.
All right. So I don't know if you get the gist of what he's trying to do, but we kind of covered when we broke down his 10 commandments there.
Yeah. Well, he's antisocial. He doesn't want you to be a part of any establishment, cultural establishment or norm.
Right.
His norm is that you need to be free from all norms. Okay. And
One of the things I observed is it's very similar to Hinduism, Buddhism,
Yep.
Taoism, Sufism, a lot of
Mm.
Eastern Asian, old, archaic, mystic religion beliefs. A lot of this stuff has to do with everything is interconnected. So they believe that everything has life. So the tree, the grass, me, the dog, the goat, you,
Mhm.
everything is life. Life flows through anything, everything. Energy flows through everything, right? And I always interpreted this as just they're misinterpreting Christianity. God is that force. He's
Right.
that force that lives in everything, that flows through everything, tree, grass, me, you. And it's a universal, unseen truth that I guess would be a pseudoscientific truth because you can't prove it. But it's an undercurrent found in a lot of major religions. This idea that this life force, even in the Star Wars, the Jedi, the Force is in everything, right? The
Right.
Force is everywhere, right? This idea is Christianity. If you want to look at it that way, if you want to look at it as God is science, you could say theoretically that God is everywhere. He is this life force that's in everything. So this would be a perversion of the true belief. They're just breaking it down into, well, there is no God, but there is this energy, this life force is
Right.
flowing through everything. All they did was just take out the Christianity aspect of it. There is no God. But I
Mhm.
could just put it right back in. There is a God, and he is that energy life force that you're looking for, right?
right.
So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think that that's what's happening here. And I think a lot of religions are based on this idea. No matter what it is, even if it's you know, an a pagan religion with multiple gods. Maybe these are just fallen angels or the offspring of the Nephilim of the fallen angels. And maybe their names have been changed and they've been made into idols. And throughout generations, this story has persisted and they've created these new religions out of something that was really just Christianity. It's just a perversion of the story of the Watchers. There's so many different things when I think of it, when I look at it. I think maybe that they're just changing this. They're taking God out of the equation and saying there's an energy, ether, invisible life force. But
Mm.
I'm saying that life force is probably God.
Yeah. I love that explanation, Bart, because even in Greek mythology and all these other demagogues that man has made with, whether it's Native Americans and the different, the wind and what have you, it's all life. Okay.
Right.
So what they do is they identify and they make gods, whether it be the Egyptian god Ra or whatever, there's an energy source that they recognize that is a giver of life. And what we as Christians believe is there is a God and he's the creator of all life. And what they're doing is they're just maybe, like you said, Bart, they've evolved away from even the idol gods into there is no God. But
One of the most interesting
all the
things,
same source. They
Right.
want the same life sources without a God who has to be the giver of that life. Yeah.
One of the most interesting things that I found is that if you study Enoch, the book of Enoch, there's 200 fallen angels that descend from heaven.
Right.
And there's 20 captains or leaders out of the 200, right? Okay, so now look at every pagan religion, whether it be Greek, Roman, Egyptian, Norse. There's always less than 20 or around 20.
Yeah.
Definitely less than 200. So you see where I'm going at
Right.
with this.
It's a continuation of the same story.
Right. And the story has been flipped and switched. So by the time you're a Viking in 750 AD, there is no God and fallen angels. It's just Thor beating his hammer on an anvil. You know what I mean? And that's kind of you just rolling with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this also kind of reminds me of just reading through the 10 Commandments as well. And that explanation you just gave, Bart, it reminds me of the interview we did with Will Spencer a while ago, where he talked about the concepts of oneism and twoism, which is essentially the oneism is there is no God. Everything is just everything and as it is. And all the answers are within yourself. So that's, that's, or you could call
Basically,
it,
that's about the same thing as what this guy just said.
yeah. I mean, you could call it individualism, Christianity, or whatever. No, not Christianity. I'm sorry. Individualism, religion, or whatever it is. But essentially, all they're doing is just removing, there's no, how they would say it, imaginary God or force above you. Everything just is as it is. That's
and
kind of, yeah.
I mean, studying Aleister Crowley and the Temple of the Golden Dawn or whatever, if you take away ceremonial magic, out of the equation, you're in the same belief system as Osho. I mean, I'm not saying completely 100%, but I'm saying the difference I see is that they do a lot of ceremonial magic versus Osho. He just kind of took that away and was like free love and do what
Right.
you want and follow these certain rules and reject societal structures, right?
Yep.
Which
Yep.
is no different, which
No.
is what they're saying, right? So it's like the only difference is it's not original what he's creating. It's just an offshoot of something old.
I agree with that. It's just a spin-off.
Yeah.
It's just a spin-off. It's, in other words, reject societal rules, and that becomes the new rules of society. They created a society that they said was free of rules, but no, it's just a different society.
Right.
And the
Right.
no rules is the rules.
It's right.
So, yeah. But let's see some more.
His followers purchased a sprawling patch of land in Oregon's Wasco County, 64,000 acres of high desert cattle fields and open sky. It was called the Big Muddy Ranch, and soon it would become something entirely new, the city commune of Rajneeshpuram. The plan was bold. The Rajneeshees wanted to build a full, functioning city from scratch, a place where spiritual seekers could live, work, meditate, and create a new kind of society. Under the leadership of Osho's powerful personal secretary, Ma Anand Sheela, the community grew with astonishing speed. On land that was originally zoned only for agriculture, they constructed homes, restaurants, an airport, meditation halls, greenhouses, roads, and infrastructure
Amazing,
for
really.
thousands of residents. Followers arrived from Europe, Asia, Australia, and across the United States. Many even donated their life savings to help the commune flourish. But from the beginning, Rajneeshpuram clashed with its neighbors. The nearby town of Antelope, Oregon, with fewer than 100 residents, found itself suddenly overshadowed by a rapidly expanding spiritual city whose population soon dwarfed their own. Locals objected to the Rajneeshees' land use plans, their large numbers, and their ambitions. The Rajneeshees, in turn, saw the locals as hostile, small-minded, and determined to block their spiritual experiment. Tensions escalated quickly. Ma Anand Sheela, acting as the movement's political and administrative leader while Osho retreated into a period of silence, adopted an aggressive strategy. She believed the commune must seize political power in Wasco County to protect itself from what she described as persecution. The Rajneeshees launched legal battles, bought property in Antelope, won elections there, and eventually took control of the town's government. Their red-clad followers appeared on ballots and showed up at county meetings in large numbers. And to the residents of Central Oregon, it felt like an invasion. The political situation reached a boiling point in 1984. That year, the Rajneeshees wanted to win seats on the county commission, seats that would give them the zoning permissions needed to expand their city legally. But their votes alone would not be enough. Sheela then devised a plan: import thousands of homeless people from around the United States, offer them food and shelter, and then register them as voters sympathetic to the commune.
Isn't that what's going on right now?
Yeah,
But,
isn't that what was going on? The Democrats have been bringing them in by the thousands. I mean,
The one thing that I've got to say about that, I don't want to be political, is, but there, this is a great example that we can cite that happened in the past involving immigration. Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
So is when Castro released all the Cuban immigrants and we had the migrant boat crisis in the late 70s in Miami, Florida. That's another example. Okay. That's two casualty examples of what can happen when we have mass immigration. But there's a positive example. Look at Ellis Island back in the early 20th century. All of the immigrants out of Ellis Island built great neighborhoods and cities and stuff like that. But you also had crime, mafias, things like that pops up out of nowhere too. So it's a double-edged sword. But I think all of those examples you could cite currently, but they act like this is a new thing. Everybody acts like the immigration conversation just started 2 years ago.
Right.
We're forgetting all of these examples that we can cite and say, see, we've got a track list full of history evidence that we can create a new system that works, that we know works, because look at all these things that we can cite that this happened, and everybody just acts like this is the new thing. It kind of feels like we're just being strung along.
To your point, Bart, when the Italians came as immigrants, when the Irish immigrants came, the Polish immigrants came into America, they came and assimilated very quickly into the American culture and made a contribution. They actually worked hard, built families, and participated in the American dream. They didn't come to tear down the American dream. They come to be a part of the American dream. And that was a great immigration that came. There was some crime, there was fighting, people get upset, but the overall experiment really built New York, Chicago. I mean, it really did. Okay.
Right.
In the Industrial Revolution. A little different. Some of the things we've seen today, actually, the immigration of the Mexican population has been very positive for America. Hardworking, family-oriented, assimilated in the American dream, mostly Catholic Christians, and didn't want to be. They want to be a part of it. They came here to be a part of the American dream. Not a problem.
Right.
So there has been some great examples of immigration that's positive.
Even in Cuba, he releases all the criminals. Now, all of those people come to Miami. They're not all criminals.
No.
If you look at Miami today, they built Little Cuba.
Yep.
There's a whole community, and they've got businesses, stores, everything, right?
Great community.
They're contributing to Miami, to the state of Florida, to our country. And he released the prisons and opened the doors. So not everybody comes here and is wild west.
No,
you know what I mean? So it's like a double-edged sword. But to sit here in 2025 and keep having these immigration debates, like we don't have all these examples that we can cite, like this is some new phenomenon no one knows what to do with, is crazy.
Right,
I'm like, man, look at all these examples. We've got to be able to come up with a bipartisan, foolproof system by now.
I think it'd been simple. If the people who want to come to America is because they want to come and assimilate and be a part of the American culture, I think we open them with open arms. It's when you have people coming in illegally who are part of radical Islam, and that's the number one problem. Let's face it, radical Islam coming to country not to be assimilate, not to be a part of America, but to destroy America, destroy Christianity, and destroy American culture. That's a problem. That's the problem. The regular immigration that we've had in this country for over 200 years has been very positive. It's made America what it is. Okay, so Bart's right. This isn't hard. Let's just make sure that when people are wanting to come to America, we find out what it is, what they believe, what it is they want to be a part of, and if they want to be a part of this great experiment called America, then let them be a part of that. No, they're not going to be, every ethnic group has its own cultural norms about it. And that's okay. That's what makes it, Chinatown. That's what makes Little Cuba, little Havana, or whatever. That's what makes the Polish community in Chicago, and the Italian community, in New York and in Chicago or whatever. That's what makes America great, in my opinion.
Right.
And diversifying, yet a part of an overall assimilation of American
And
culture.
when Osho's commune comes to Oregon, it's a peaceful
It's
immigration.
peaceful. I don't see what the deal was there. What was
They're building infrastructure. They're converting Big Muddy Ranch, which historically really was just left unattended.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and they're contributing to
Yep.
the local economy the best that they can. I mean, they're walking around dressed in red robes, following a guy in a Rolls Royce, but they're doing it that that they're putting
long as you're not
construction people. They're
hurting the other people. I don't
Right.
that I don't know what the other Oregon people of 100 people, what the problem was. I don't know what it was that they were so threatened by these people.
So in the Wild Wild Country documentary, though, right? So they interview people that were Rajneeshees, and they also interview the locals that were there at the time in Antelope. It looked like because of the I guess we're going to call it a cult, right? I guess because of the cult's practices, once they started buying properties that were up for sale for a long time in Antelope, um, they started to have very loud, up all night, all day sexual encounters that I guess disrupted the
Okay, so that's
regular.
what I was wondering. I want to know what the threat was. What was the problem?
I think because they had that whole free love and then walking around in these robes and all of this stuff. It was I from in the time, the 80s, disrupting the moral culture of the town.
so it's a clash of culture.
It's a
Yes.
that's a clash. Yep.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And out of that kind of spun the whole, we got to get these people out of here. They're ruining our country, so on and so forth with that. I got to move faster out of there. So on and so forth with, and that's kind of what Ma Anand Sheila alludes to too, is, the bigotry within the town. Like they didn't feel accepted for what they were trying to do there. And I can understand both sides, truly. And I think in 2025, if Rajneesh Puram was established, I think it would be a lot better accepted than it was in the 1980s.
Probably.
I mean, yeah, because what's weird about it, right? There's a lot of things that are quote unquote weird, but that's everybody's definition as well as your own definition. But from on the surface, from what we can see, people were dancing, and there's no monogamy, right? They're all wearing these uniforms, I guess you would call it, but it's just kind of just showing, what they're a part of and what they're trying to find. Part of the thing that happened here was Ma Anand Sheila really kind of destroyed this whole movement. So Osho goes into a period of silence. And at that point, his right hand woman kind of starts making the decisions for what needs to happen, or how do we build this? How do we, make our community larger? And from that, yeah, she was savvy enough, and it made sense that they wanted to get involved in the political system because they wanted to be known as, legit. They didn't want to just be like, hey, we're quarantined over here on this Big Muddy Ranch, and they wanted some power behind it to be able to actually make themselves a legitimate culture in a city.
Yeah, I think you can't blame the whole cult. Ma Anand Sheila was his personal secretary. She was, when he took his period of silence, she stepped up to lead the cult or ranch or religion, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So not everybody in the group was privy to the escalation of conflict in that area. What I'm referring to specifically is the mass poisoning salmonella on the salad bar of the local restaurants.
Yeah, that's when it gets out of hand.
So that's crossing the line of legality. And,
Right.
You can't blame the whole commune for it because it was leadership. She's the one who made the decision. he was in a period of silence. I think she kind of panicked and didn't know what to do. But it's a prime example of what happens when just one person, all it takes is one person who truly believes in their heart that the ends justify the means. If a type of person like that ever gets power, which they're in power all over the world right now, guys, but that's what they'll do. If it takes poisoning the salad bar with salmonella, then that's what it takes.
That's a bad ideal.
Because the ends justify the means. So all it takes is just one Anand Sheely in a position of power, somebody who truly in their heart believes that, who can't stop and, maybe take a Bob Ross moment to be like, is that a happy tree or do I need a bush next to it? Like they don't really take that moment to sit and think about it, They're just like the ends justify the means. We got to get to utopia. If 700 people die of salmonella, then that's what it took to get to utopia, which is no different than Maoism in China, right? If that's what it takes to get to utopia in Chinese communism, then that's what it takes. That's what I'm referring to. So it's this escalation that I think is what gives this cult a bad name. But I don't think you can blame the whole cult. Not everybody knows about it. A lot of these people were dancing with flowers in their hair while
I had no idea that
she's poisoning the salad bar. And then when they find out about it, they're like, hey, she probably should get kicked out of the cult. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, but also she's
right. She ruined for thousands of people who were there just to have freedom and live in a utopian society. They had no idea that she was going to go out here and try to poison the people in the community, which is the worst ideal since the worst ideal since the Kool-Aid in Jonestown. I mean, it's bad idea.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing though. So it's interesting because the Jonestown thing was a part of the preaching and practices of Jim Jones of, hey, these people aren't going to accept us. The rationale for the Salmonella attack was mostly for political gain.
Mm-hmm.
So like Bart and I were just discussing, Ma Anand Sheela kind of took it upon herself to go out and try to get political seats and establish Rajneeshpuram as a legitimate city in Oregon. And then also where we had stopped the documentary at, bringing in people to pretty much saturate the voting population so that way they could never lose. She was driven very strongly on political power.
She was about power.
And but she's also, I'm going to show you here this interview with her. She's also very charismatic too. I mean, I'm sure she learned that from Osho, but here's an interview here with her. I don't remember where it's at though.
I mean, let's be
one of your former
and logical about it.
One of your former Rajneeshees in Sydney alleges that prostitution was one of the ways that your group raised money.
That former Rajneesh's profession happened to be prostitution and was raising money for himself as a prostitution or herself as a prostitution. It's his profession or her profession. I have nothing to interfere with it. That's their personal business.
So your godlike figure is quite happy to be a pimp.
And I beg your pardon.
I said your godlike figure is happy to be a pimp.
I beg your pardon. Whoever you happen to be.
Well, is he a pimp or is he not?
You're a worthless man. You must know pimps because you must be going to prostitute yourself and must be in touch with pimps.
You just said that if people were working as prostitutes.
If somebody wants to do business and their business happens to be a prostitution, I'm not going to say that their business is good or bad.
If somebody makes his or her money that way and the Bhagwan gets
their business.
So,
and Bhagwan does not get a penny of anybody's money.
That's not what you said.
No.
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
No, you're running for cover because I've called your godlike figure a pimp.
No, I'm not running for cover, mister. I don't run for cover. And person like you make me run for cover? That's a joke.
See, she's
Well, I guess we could do with
She
a bit
didn't
of levity
like
in this interview.
I hope that guy
Is
does
your
not eat the
religion
salad bar at
any
catering
more than a
backstage.
money-making exercise?
Our religion is probably the only religion which has synthesized capitalism and religion together.
It's a very good marketing exercise, isn't it, for those people who have fallen for it?
It's wonderful. It works.
Then the money gets
And
generated.
by the way, if you happen to be a Christian, and if you are a Christian, you have to look at Vatican and its business too. They are very lousy business people too, by the way.
By your standards, probably lousy lovers too.
Absolutely. They only know missionary position.
Well, good luck to anyone else who wants to join your Rajneeshees and pay money to the bag one. And also good luck to Pemberton. Thanks for talking with us.
Good luck to you and your pimps.
That's the very...
He didn't care much for him calling out. Well, the fact is that however she said, any way they wanted to make money, that was none of her business. They can do whatever they want. They believe in the freedom. And he's saying, okay, that's fine. But that they're still contributing into the kitty. So your guy's a pimp. He's not a pimp, but I understand what the guy's trying to say. You're allowing anything and everything to be a part of the whole. No judgment here, no condemnation here. She took exception to it, I guess, and called him what he is. I mean, that in her mind. So yeah, it's kind of a confrontational. They don't like being called out. I see that. Nobody does, really. I mean, nobody does. I don't like to be called out. So I mean, I'm sure she didn't either. But wow.
Let me give you just a few clips here of sorry.
Go ahead.
Just a few clips of Mon on here. Go on.
They haven't learned a lesson yet.
Isn't your leader the free sex guru?
Free sex, we don't charge for it, if you mean that. If they're not aware of my determination, I think they're stupid. They're unintelligent. I don't run for cover. And a person like you make me run for cover? Ah, that's a joke. You tell your governors, you tell your attorney general, and all your picketed pigs outside, they touch any of our people, I will have 15 of their heads, and I mean business.
We don't want the orange people in our town.
What can I say? Tough titties.
All right.
Okay, so all right. So again, let me look at this though. There is an isolation mentality. Okay, whether it be David Koresh, Jim Jones, Marshall Applewhite, is that what his name was?
White, yeah.
Applewhite. or Osho.
Mm-hmm.
They're all saying we're all anti-civilization.
Yeah, and they're also going out in rural areas where there is no development and building something new.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's also a part of this.
That's all part of it. David Koresh and his, the Branch Davidians and their compound, or whether you're in Jim Jones out in Jonestown, or whether you're the Osho people out in Oregon in the middle of nowhere, or you're Charlie Manson in the ranch that you just squatted on and took over. I mean, either way, there's this isolation, and not just isolation in territorial way or in a location, but it's isolation from the rest of society.
Right.
In this founding, this establishing of something new. We need to found and establish something that's never happened before.
Yeah.
A new way.
They're anti-government. They're anti-society, anti-rules. And free sex seems to be a part of every one of these groups.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Or in Marshall Applewhite's thing was
no sex.
Right.
Went into the castration world. So, but all of it was, again, this is part of the control mechanism. It's a promise of freedom while being under some type of oppression without even. So it is it's a weird combination. Have you got to the part where they poison the salad bar yet?
Let's.
I think we're right there.
I mean, because the salad bar is important. Because guys, if you go to Ruby Tuesdays or some of these places where they have the really good salad bars, this is disturbing to me. Very disturbing.
Shout out to Ruby Tuesdays.
Loads arrived,
Yeah.
overwhelming the city's
I'm not-
resources and alarming state officials. When Oregon blocked the registrations, Sheila escalated to far more dangerous tactics. What happened next remains one of the most shocking events in American history. In the fall of 1984, members of the Commune contaminated salad bars in the Dalles, the county's largest town, with Salmonella bacteria. Their goal was to incapacitate enough local voters to swing the election in their favor. More than 700 people fell violently ill. Restaurants were forced to close, hospitals filled up, and the community panicked. At the time, the cause was unclear. Only later, after the commune collapsed, did investigators confirm that the Rajneeshees had carried out the attack, making it the largest bioterror attack ever committed in the United States. Behind the scenes, the situation inside Rajneesh.
Did you want me to stop it there, Pastor? Or no?
I know. I mean, is that the end of that part? I
No,
mean,
but of that segment, yeah.
so Bart brings this out very well in this documentary. 700 and some people got deathly ill from salmonella poisoning. Guys, this was a terrorist attack
Yeah.
on the civilian population. You can't do that.
I still think it is the largest ever. Is that what you just said that, right?
It's the largest ever bioterror attack in U.S. history.
Wow.
That's huge.
Now, it didn't kill anybody, but it made 700 people in the hospital sick.
Could have, and really made people deathly ill. And thing is, they were caught unaware. They were innocent people being poisoned.
Yeah.
And the local hospitals were overloaded. You know, if there was somebody who was dying or giving birth or something at the time,
Yeah.
I'm sure it caused a massive headache, you know, because all the services were taken up from this salmonella.
The reason they did it, they justify the means here. And I think I heard Paul Jr. say that. And that is, but their reason for this was just to swing the election.
Yeah.
This demonic activity justifiable because of what they were trying to accomplish.
Right.
And that becomes a dangerous cult at that very dangerous. And it's crazy that they go from free, happy love, what we saw singing in happiness, to poisoning people at the salad bar. I mean,
it wasn't on everybody though. As we saw, it was ran by Ma Nan Sheila.
Yeah,
and just the top lieutenants under her.
Yeah.
So most people would wouldn't have supported this, you know, had she brought it out to the whole commune. You know?
Right. There's really her and a few of her select lieutenants that carried out this masterminded plan, not the rest of the community.
Right.
And maybe even Osho, he might not even known about it.
Well, and it worked though.
It did work.
A lot of these people were either incapacitated and everybody else was fearful because terrorism prevailed in this situation.
Wow.
For political purposes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to say exactly what I'm thinking, but it's very similar to kind of what we saw in 2020. But yeah, you can try.
I mean, that's such a comparison. I mean, we have to be careful to try to even bring it up. Wow, on a more grander scale. Yeah.
Let's jump back in here.
Puram was deteriorating. Sheila and her inner circle were becoming increasingly authoritarian. There were reports of wiretapping, forced meditation of residents, intimidation, and even plots to murder critics, including the U.S. Attorney for Oregon.
Now it gets great.
The leadership had stockpiled weapons, built a secret laboratory to grow bacteria, and taken actions far beyond anything resembling a spiritual community. In 1985, the pressure came to a breaking point. Osho suddenly ended his silence and publicly denounced Sheila and her associates. He accused them of crimes, corruption, and acting without his knowledge. Sheila fled the commune with several aides, escaping to Europe, and soon afterward, federal agents and state police raided Rajneeshpuram. Evidence of wiretapping, poisoning, and elaborate criminal schemes began to emerge. Osho himself was arrested on charges of immigration fraud, alleging that he had arranged sham marriages for followers to remain in the United States. Facing a prolonged trial, he accepted a plea agreement, paid fines, and agreed to leave the country. In November 1985, he was deported. Without its leader, without Sheila, and under the weight of legal battles, the commune collapsed. Within months, Rajneeshpuram was effectively abandoned. The land was eventually sold and then later became a Christian youth camp. Some of the buildings from the Rajneeshi era are still in use, while others have disappeared back into the desert. What had once been a massive utopian experiment became only a chapter in Oregon's complicated history. Ma Anand Sheila was captured in Germany and then extradited back to the United States. She pleaded guilty to attempted murder, assault, and the poisoning attacks. She served several years in federal prison before being released and returning back to Europe. To this day, she maintains that she acted on behalf of the community's survival, though critics and scholars argued that she orchestrated the violence independently. Osho, meanwhile, returned back to India. He resumed speaking and teaching until his death in 1990. His movement rebranded, now calling itself the Osho International Foundation,
Still a
and
thing.
continues to promote his meditation techniques worldwide. To many followers, Osho remains an enlightened mystic and spiritual visionary. To others, his Oregon years cast a long and troubling shadow. The story of Rajneeshpuram remains a vivid, often surreal moment in American history. It raises questions about religious freedom, charismatic leadership, cultural conflict, and the thin line between idealism and extremism. It reveals how quickly a community built on spiritual ideas can become entangled in politics, fear, and criminality. And it shows how a charismatic leader and a determined inner circle can transform not just the lives of their followers, but entire towns, counties, and national conversations about cults, rights, and the limits of tolerance. Today, the people of Wasco County still remember the bright red clothing, the convoys of buses, the legal battles, and the brief period when their quiet rural landscape became the site of a global spectacle. And for many Americans, the name Rajneeshpuram remains tied to a dramatic warning about what can happen when absolute authority, spiritual devotion, and political ambition collide in the most unexpected of places.
What a great documentary.
I mean, really a great job, Art, on that. And what an interesting chapter again in American cults. And are we the leading nation for cults?
I don't
I'm not for
think so.
sure. That's a good thing to look up. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't. Yeah, I
now there is some guys right now. I know right now that in Russia, there's a guy called Jesus of Siberia, and he's got like 5,000 followers. And they go out and you go up, you have to walk up this hill, kind of steep, and then sit in the grass. And then he speaks to them every Sunday, and he looks like some type of Jesus figure, really. And then we had the guy. His name was Jose Miranda, who is out of South America, and I can't remember which country at this top of my head, who had hundreds of thousands of followers. He died. He called himself Jesus in the flesh, and his followers had to get tattoos. 666. You had to have it tattooed on your body. That he called that the mark of Christ, and that he was Jesus Christ in the flesh, not in the spirit. Okay.
I mean, that's very opposite.
He promised that one day when he would die, that he would raise again. He did die, and we're still waiting.
I think we're going to be waiting for a very long time.
There has been some, antichrist. Well, we should call them. They try to be Christ-like figures. There's another guy in Australia right now calls himself Jesus of Australia, and he's got a woman that lives with him, and she calls herself the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene, and they live together, and they have a following.
Well, we gotta get Jake Paul to get the Jesus of Siberia to box the Jesus of Australia
Let's go.
to see who the real Jesus of the world is.
And
We'll put it on. If we can get with Jake Paul, we'll put that on a webinar.
yeah, I think we really would pay-per-view for sure. I mean, but really, isn't it kind of interesting that we've got these, figures of issues, and I don't think it's going to end. I think there'll be more.
Oh yeah.
That they're going to.
Well, that's what I was telling Bart, Pastor. Like this, Rajneesh Puram. If this were to happen in 2025, it would be way more successful because
social
you're
media
taking away all of the. Yeah, you're taking away all of the 1980s way of thinking, where pretty much the town and the state of Oregon was able to collapse this because they just didn't want those people there.
Right.
I mean, obviously the Salmonella, bioterrorism, and attempting to assassinate people is probably not a good thing.
No.
But I don't think that they would have to go that far if they were able to establish where they were already at, because I don't think that the way, the tolerance of society now would be more embracing.
In other words, if a cult leader now would rise and go into Nevada somewhere or into, in Utah or in some place out in middle of Kansas, somewhere where there's not very small amounts of people.
Right.
And you think because today's culture is different, that it might actually flourish and grow and be more, the society be more tolerant toward it.
Yeah. I mean,
the cult leader.
What's that?
It depends on the cult leader.
Yeah.
You got to have somebody with charisma. You got to have somebody who's worth listening to, somebody who makes you feel like they're talking to only you in a room full of 1,000 people. You got to have somebody with a beard as good as Osho.
Well, you just explained Mondami, the new mayor of New York. He is exactly what you just said. He's charismatic. He's he comes off extremely well received, that he listens to his constituents, that he feels their pain, and he's taking on a messiah complex. I mean, nobody is saying that right now. I'm probably the first guy out there saying it, but I know I've studied these charismatic type leaders. This guy, the people believe that he feels their pain, that the rent is too high, that the utility bills are out of control, that there's not enough housing, that they've been left behind, and he's embracing it, and he has his own theory behind it, and whether it's socialism or some type of utopian communism, whether it be Islam and mixed into it all, he has touched the hearts of thousands. I mean, hundreds of thousands. And now, could he become a cult leader in New York? I think he can. I don't know if he will, but he definitely has the characteristics and the capability to do. He just doesn't have the beard.
He just have the beard.
Yeah.
Just give him some time.
Give him time. I mean, this is an individual. I've studied and looked around and said, there's nobody on the world scene even that is close to the charisma and ability to gather large populaces of people. Now this will come to a reality at some point. Okay, all of them do. But right now, he's captured the imagination and the possibility that there's a brighter day coming because of him. And I think that's what's happening right now in New York. Now, I don't know how long that lasts. I give it 48 months. And then all of a sudden, the come to Jesus moment comes when the rent doesn't go down, when the checks aren't flowing, when the school debts weren't forgiven, when the social, the social experiment doesn't happen, then it will start to come, the wheels will start to come off. And then you have to wonder, will he use any means? Will he do anything to justify the means? you start to wonder. And you see that in every one of these leaders that have ever risen. So my advice on this is keep an eye on Mandami.
Wow.
We'll be talking about him. Trust me. We will be talking about him.
What was so? I wanted to ask though, Pastor, some of the things with Rajneeshpuram though, right? So we've already talked about and covered a lot of it. Why do you think? And I know there's a scripture reference in here. Hopefully, maybe we can break that down for us. Why are people actually drawn to these quote unquote perfect societies?
Well, because they're disenchanted with their current situation, whether it's their own country they're in, whether it's their own situation, their life. They are really feel disadvantaged, and they probably are disadvantaged. That's the thing about it. It's not that they feel it; they really are, and they don't know how in the world they're going that they can make how in the world do they get out of this cycle? And then somebody offers them liberation and freedom and a utopian potential and a community of like-minded thinking, and they gravitate to it. They will gravitate to it, and so because everybody wants to find that nirvana. People want to find that peace of mind. And they're hoping to find it in this new approach. And Bart's right. It has to be new. It has to isolate itself away from the rest of society. And it has to allow personal freedom to do what you want without condemnation or judgment or rules. People will gravitate to that because of their the life they're in, the situation they're in. They're not happy, so they look for that happiness and that ability to live some way free of the hustle and bustle of the today's society.
And so then, final thoughts, Pastor. I'm happy that we covered this cult on our cult classics because it's different from the other ones. In the fact that it doesn't end in murder and brutality and killing. And from that, the movement still goes on with Osho International Foundation, which to me, that's all well and fine. And if you want to, you can go to their website now and find a spiritual retreat. I think there's some in Switzerland. They're actually all over the world, which is fine if that's what you want to do, if that's how you want to seek or spend your time or take a vacation or, walk about, however you want to do it. But I think what's important, again, is even this cult, which seems more peaceful than the other one, well, it definitely is more peaceful than the other ones, you still see classic patterns and examples. You have a charismatic leader that is the leader, that's almost godlike to them. He drives around in Rolls Royces. They wear red cloaks, orange cloaks, whatever, and follow him. They, exploiting. I mean, it's not even exploiting, really. Maybe it is. I don't know. I wasn't part of the cult, but the control mechanism of sexuality, again, is always there. Taking people to remote locations and promising them a utopian society. All of those things are there.
Yep.
And I don't know if these people were, no, it doesn't even, it seems like a lot of these people donated their money and their finances and their time because they believed in the movement.
Yeah.
And that's fine if that's something that you want to do. But again, a lot of these always come down to discernment when you're trying to see certain things. And this pattern that we keep showing you, it's not, I mean, this is just an organic pattern that we see with all of these cults. You start to see these things when you start to get involved in different things. It should be red flags.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And I think my final word would be, Jesus said in Matthew 24 that 3 times he warned of deception. Be not deceived, he said. For many false Christ and false prophets will come. Okay. And what that means is a lot of people, they hear the word false prophet. It means it's somebody who had a prophecy and it didn't come exactly to pass exactly, because maybe the person who had the dream or vision didn't quite know what they were seeing, and then we fill in the blanks. That happens all the time. No, when it talks about false prophets and false Christ, it means false spiritual leaders. And there's a spiritual component to this too. It's not just the utopian society and not just the withdrawing from the world and not just the sexual dysfunction and freedom or free love or changing of sexual norms. All of those are in there. But there's a spiritual leader. There's a Messiah complex generally involved as well. And these are the false prophets. And the Bible says, don't be deceived by these. They're going to promise this. Don't be deceived by that. Okay. Follow the scriptures, follow the structure of the Bible, and the norms of society is very simple. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Okay. Treat people like you want to be treated. That's the social norm. That's the real social structure that all society should have. If you treat people the way you want to be treated, you have a better world. I guarantee it. And so that's the warnings I would have. We're going to have more of these. And they'll get more bizarre. I believe they'll get more bizarre as we get closer to the end. Okay, until the second coming of Christ, we're going to have more false Christ and false prophets that will come. So be not deceived. Jesus says it 3 different times in the 24th chapter of Matthew when asked about the signs of the end of days. The number one thing he says, because he says it 3 times, is the deception. Don't be deceived by these false prophets and false Christ. So my suggestion is, be aware. There's a lot of red flags, and when someone promises you the rainbow, they're probably going to bring you the rain. Okay, probably not. The light is probably not at the end of the tunnel. So stay grounded. Okay, stay grounded.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the Paul Begley Podcast. New episodes will be released every Tuesday on all major podcast streaming platforms. For a video recording of this episode, you can watch and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Paul Begley Podcast. Hey guys, we want you to connect with us. Follow us on X and Twitter at Paul Begley Pod. We'd love to hear your questions you want us to answer on the show. For additional Paul Begley content, go to our website at paulbegleyprophecy.org. If you've thought about it, we'll talk about it. Paul Begley Podcast.